those who don't know, the Free State Project is a movement of voluntary human action where we are trying to concentrate libertarians in the state of New Hampshire.
I think we've done more in the last decade than every other libertarian movement combined has accomplished in the last 5 decades.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, libertarians, anarchists, movers, natives, and those on your way, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Free State Live, where you get to hear about all the ways you can live free and thrive in the free state of New Hampshire. First and foremost, time to welcome everyone back, though. Again, we have crowd favorite, crowd pleaser, everyone's favorite, the one and only Queen Quill, Carla Garrick. How are you, Carla?
Hi. I never know when you're doing intros who's going to go first. And then
Neither
I'm
do
trying
I.
to tell if it's going to be me or not. And I was like, oh, am I the crowd favorite? Or is our next fabulous friend from the internet the crowd favorite?
Well, he is from the internet, and he's everybody's favorite keyboard warrior, that's for sure. Kevin from the internet. How are you, Kevin?
Oh, good. It's true. Carla, I figured it out. He has a certain cadence when he introduces me that I've been able to pick up on and hone in on. So, but it does alternate. It could be Bill, it could be anybody. So,
well, to be fair, I don't really know what I'm doing until I do it anyways. That's what we do it live. I mean, if there's one thing I learned from Bill O'Reilly, it's to just do it live. But everybody loves Carla, everybody loves Bill, everybody loves Kevin. The cast we have on every week, back again and again. And everyone looks forward to the things we do every year, the events we host, the parties we throw. This is a strange one. We're talking about an event we're not hosting. And joining us tonight to talk about it, we have the executive director of Freedom Fest, Valerie Durham. How are you, Valerie?
I'm fantastic, and it's great to be with all of you crowd pleasers, fan favorites.
Hey, Valerie, I wanted to say welcome, and I was so excited. I looked at your Twitter profile before we came up, and I was like, oh, I know you're an events person. You know, that's kind of where we got to bond and sort of got to know each other. But I saw you are a dancer. You are a world traveler. You're a mom. You're a reader. You're a cook. You're a friend of liberty and an events organizer. So how did you get dragged into Freedom Fest? Let's start there.
Well, that's a great question. Thanks so much. So, Freedom Fest is a family business, and it was started back in 2002 when my dad was president of FEE, the Foundation for Economic Education, and he and my mom, in their capacity at FEE, really felt like there needed to be an event that brought together kind of all the different elements. At the time, things felt really siloed. So Cato was doing great work, but they were, working on their own thing, and Reason and all the different great organizations were out there. But then businesses too, like sound money people, precious metals folks who really believe in the free market. They weren't having an opportunity to come together. And so he brought together FEE Fest in 2002 in Las Vegas. Eventually that morphed into Freedom Fest in 2007. And I came on board in around 2014. I had just finished my MFA in dance at the University of Maryland and was looking to get a real job because, dance. And
that's
I
right.
too have an MFA, not as elegant as dancing, but yes, I understand the struggle.
And so the previous conference coordinator wanted to, retire, and they said, hey, do you want to do this? And I said, absolutely, because I've been in the libertarian space, obviously, my whole life. I was in the conference space because my dad and mom coming up were in financial conferences. My dad's an Austrian economist and a financial advisor. So I grew up going to conferences. And then actually as a dancer, I'm an Isadora Duncan dancer. I've had my own company. I'm an artistic artist in that area. An artistic artist, that didn't make any sense. But a dance artist. And I've had to put on my own events. And I found a lot of alignment in the same way of thinking that you had to put together your own show. I had to come up with the program and get the different dancers. Those are like speakers. And I had to figure out lighting, and I would have a reception after that's like catering, and I'd have to market it and sell tickets. So it was all kind of the same thinking. It was now learning about hotel attrition and food and beverage minimums and union laws. That was its own thing. It's a long time coming, but yeah, family business, and really drew on my experiences. I wasn't trained to be an event planner, but it kind of all came together. And it's honestly a delight. I love this job. I love the variety. I do something different every day. And it's a really fantastic event and opportunity for me. It's just really a great blessing in my life.
That's huge. And just for folks who don't know, they may not know your parents' names. So
Yeah.
it's Mark and Joanne Skousen, and they've been around a really long time. They're very, very gracious people. Joanne came out to Pork Fest. I think it was 2020. It was that crazy year where we just were able to do it because Freedom Fest does run, the month right after Pork Fest. So we're always kind of up on each other's dates. But I've always made it a priority for me to go. It's an event that I love. I love the people who do it. It was one of those places where I saw the synergy. We talked before this. Just about it, because I remember people were like, we don't really understand what you guys are doing up there. And I was like, we're like farmers with the internet. We do a little yoga in the morning, then, we party hard. And then, and then I saw that to some extent become a thing also at Freedom Fest, where I was like, oh, they're doing yoga. Yay. Can you talk about that evolution a little bit?
Yeah, Mark and Joanne always understood that there was a financial freedom component. So there's political freedom. That's really important. There's also financial freedom. And as we've expanded the Freedom Fest vision, it's really about bringing everything that encompasses a liberty lifestyle. And so we really value projects like the Free State Project, where it's about living a liberty life. And how do you do that? How do you work together? How do you create a community? So at Freedom Fest, we're trying to talk about not just political freedom, but financial freedom, economic freedom, intellectual freedom, social and cultural freedom, health freedom. So we look at a lot of different areas. And one of the places we're also really breaking into a lot is creative freedom. Because I think that as we look at the Anthem Film Festival, which is a part of Freedom Fest that came to Pork Fest a couple years ago and had a great experience, it's through a lot of the cultural arts, through visual mediums, through storytelling, television, music, where you convince a lot of people of what philosophy is. And it's kind of a great underpinning. And to a large extent, unfortunately, I think the liberty world has abandoned those things in favor of a lot of capitalist business entrepreneurial ideas, which are fantastic as well. But I don't think that a lot of the people who've engaged in the business side and embraced free markets and capitalism understand how important the arts are to delivering a message. And so that's one area where we're really developing. We have our Punchin' Up Comedy Festival that's part of Freedom Fest, the Spark Art Show. We're working on our music component.
Nice.
Not quite ready to launch a full music festival, but we've got live music going there. And the film festival. So it's really all the different ways you experience freedom and the opportunity to express yourself at Freedom Fest.
Wow. So just one point of order. I do believe that the art that we now see is actually in memes, and they don't get half the credit they should, because I do believe memes kicked off the information war we are currently in, because we were winning with the
visuals
cartoons.
Deliver a message. It's super, super important to acknowledge that. Whether it's, street art, meme art, you're totally right. We can define art in so many different ways, and it's extremely powerful. We shouldn't be ignoring it to be executing artistic expression at a high level in the liberty community.
So Memphis is very much an artistic town. Can you talk about why it's there and sort of how it changed, right? It used to just be in Vegas.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, Freedom Fest is a 4-day conference.
Yep.
We've, like I said, been around since 2007. We kick it off on a Wednesday with lots of breakout sessions, big opening ceremonies, all day Thursday, all day Friday. Saturday, we start wrapping up and go into our big banquet. And you're totally right, Carla. We have been in Las Vegas because it was the most libertarian city kind of in the U.S. Because you could gamble there and go to brothels, and it just felt very, kind of like you could do what you want in Vegas. It kind of during the pandemic. So when they shut us down during the pandemic and Governor Sisolak said no, we went to South Dakota. And it was a great experience. The first time we were outside of Vegas, a lot of people came who had never come to Freedom Fest because it wasn't in Vegas. We also have people who didn't come because it wasn't in Vegas. So we loved going to Mount Rushmore, doing excursions. It was a fantastic crowd. And we decided to start alternating. So in even years, we're back in Vegas. So it's always a great meeting town. But in the odd years, we're going to different, interesting bucket list kind of places. And that's why we picked Memphis, because lots of people have been to Nashville. It's great. It's fantastic. The hotel prices are a little high. So that was another, I'm like, eh. But Memphis is this really unique, it's got deep history in the civil rights movement. Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated there. They have the National Civil Rights Museum right there in Memphis. They also, obviously, it's this huge nexus of different traditions of music coming from different cultures, where there was sharing and collaboration and cooperation, what we preach about in the libertarian world, spontaneous order, working together to build something new and better. So you get rock and roll, blues, soul, all of those things coming out in Memphis from all of these different cultural influences. Of course, Graceland is there. That's a bucket list for a lot of people.
Beale Street. I mean,
now,
oh yeah,
Elvis is everywhere. So, so we're doing excursions to Graceland, excursions all about the music history with live musicians telling the stories, singing the songs as you go along. Going to the National Civil Rights Museum, right on the Mississippi River. It's just a really cool vintage grungy town, and you have FedEx there. Major innovator in business. You have St. Jude's Hospital, major influence in health and charity. So there's a lot of influences in Memphis. Justin Timberlake has roots there. Of course, Dolly Parton is nearby. Like, it's kind of a cool place.
To me, it really does sound like Freedom Fest is taking the opposite kind of growth trajectory as something like South by Southwest, which started out as just a music and arts festival, and over the years has transformed into a more of an academic left-wing political scene around music and arts. And you're really trying to bring the music and arts into the more libertarian kind of political sphere to give it more grounding in reality. And that's something I'm super excited to see as an artist and an author myself, who does a lot of work in media, and I write more than anybody probably ever should. But seeing a focus on the arts as something that impacts culture, because all of our political ideas really are downstream from that culture at the end of the day anyways.
Look at how many people will reference Atlas Shrugged as the way that they understood libertarian philosophy. I mean, almost everyone. They might go read Human Action afterwards, but Human Action probably wasn't the way that they got into it. You know what I mean? And we would love to be the South by Southwest of the Liberty world in terms of showing how all of these different components work together. And I think, what I love about now, I'm really, really going to try to come to Pork Fest this year. That is like my number one goal. It's always our busiest month. And it's always, but I have to come.
But you have a huge team, and you guys run for profit, so someone's in charge.
And you know what it's like when you're running something, Carla. But I really want to come. But when mom came back and was just really so inspired by everything you guys are doing, there's such a hands-on, like, intimate experience. That's what it about Pork Fest. And there's a lot of networking that goes on at Freedom Fest, but I like that we're kind of bookending different aspects and different ways to access your Liberty experience. And that's one of the things I think is so important about reaching out, because to your point, Justin, so many people are more Liberty minded than they realize, because they know the political rhetoric, and they feel like they don't fit into the little political boxes and labels that everyone gives them, and it becomes all divisive and vitriolic. And what's so important is to realize that the entrepreneur, the author, the artist in these different capacities have a mindset around liberty that they may not even realize. And so to draw those folks in and to realize when you like political satire and freedom of expression in any realm, you're part of that community, and people can start to take more ownership and live in that lifestyle a little more. And that's definitely what we're all about.
I was going to ask because, and one thing, like I said to you just a few minutes before you started, is like I dive into everything and look up an insane amount of research because it's a problem that I have. And that's you brought it up in that you're alternating years, and the Vegas thing right away as a guy who has a 3-year-old. I'm like, oh, do I bring my 3-year-old to Vegas? Well, I mean, I probably would, but I make bad choices all the time. But with it alternating, what would you say your audience and your crowd is like? It's really hard to describe the people that attend something like PorkFest because it runs from like kind of like more conservative Christians to hippies in between, anarchists. Like it's a big mix. What do you say is the kind of group you haven't? I haven't been to Freedom Fest. I'm a poor person that lives in New Hampshire and I don't leave the state because it's my safe space. But
these days.
But I did see some pictures and some videos that had some kids and some families and stuff. So it's definitely not turned off to those communities. Like, but what's your baseline audience? Who do you usually see at a Freedom Fest? And you know, obviously I saw the North Dakota thing or South Dakota thing. That was wicked cool venue, wicked cool location, super out of the box and really interesting. And that's when I was like, oh, that would have been perfect for someone with a family.
Yes. And we had a lot of families come to South Dakota for sure.
Yeah,
they brought their whole families. They did the excursions, even if the kids didn't necessarily come to the conference itself. You know, Freedom Fest is not super geared towards little kids, I will say.
Okay.
It's really more of I mean, my dad calls it an intellectual feast. So I would say it's a little more corporate adult feeling. We run the gamut. We will have some sophisticated high school students come. We do have college students, young professionals, you know, under 30, 40 are definitely coming. Our largest group are probably business owners, wealthy retirees, kind of people over 50. So I would say it kind of splits. Half of it is like 50 and older retirees. And then our kind of under 40 crowd is like 30 to 40%, you know, in there between younger students, kind of middle of the road young professionals. So we bridge a gamut, and we have, like I said, business leaders, we have politicians, we have celebrities, we have just people who are really passionate about liberty. We have a lot of think tank, grassroots organizations, people actually in the movement that are there. Maybe they're working because they have a booth, they're promoting, they're doing a session, but they're also attending. And that's one of the things I like about our community is that very few people, I think, who work in the liberty space aren't also dedicated to it personally. And they're really, they're personally interested in it. And so we don't have a lot of that fly in, fly out kind of stuff. The people who come really want to be there, even if they're working or speaking or what have you. They'll speak in one session and then go to another session, you know, and that's what I love. And one of the things I always say is Freedom Fest is the place where anyone who cares about liberty in any capacity can come to learn, share, network, and grow the liberty movement together. And so I, as an attendee, have something to contribute. The speaker has something to learn and contribute. You know, and isn't that the essence of what we feel all of this is about, that we all contribute and make each other better? And that's what we're really trying to accomplish at Freedom Fest. So it's a huge mix of people.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
I did want to mention, because I did see a little comment scroll across. You had mentioned, Valerie, the Anthem Film Festival, which is this wonderful festival that Joanne puts on. They do have annual contest. So there's a documentary that Rhainita Sussman, who had made the mention, is currently making about the Free State Project. And I thought we could get it all together for this year's Freedom Fest. That's not going to happen because the cutoff is literally, I think, April 1st.
April 6th, yeah.
Yeah. So she mentioned that one of her previous movies was actually shown at Anthem. And then two, of course, we're hoping we're going to bring it next year.
Right.
And that we can, you know, do a big blowout for that. And of course, you know, I'll be speaking. We'll have an exhibitor's booth.
Yes.
We always come. It is fantastic both to network. So I was wondering, because I have so many, I've done this for a long time stories. Do you have like two favorite Freedom Fest stories? Maybe like some horror story and then like some super this surprised me story?
Yeah. So
that's a good question. That's a good question.
There's one I want to tell and one I don't want to tell.
Okay.
Now we're going to hear both.
I decided to tell. But the first one is, so when we were in South Dakota, we had a lot of planning. We had to put together like 15 different hotels because they didn't have the big mega Vegas hotels. They were so excited for us to be there. And we did all these excursions on Tuesday, the day before, so people could go to Mount Rushmore and Crazy Horse and Deadwood and all of that. So in Vegas, there are flights all day, right? So people roll in throughout the day. They're registering throughout the day. It's like this nice, there's no big crazy line. Well, this is one of those things, like you think you account for everything. We set up our normal registration. By golly, like 1,500 people are there when we start registration at 10 o'clock in the morning. And my team is hustling. They're trying to get through. The sessions are starting at 12. People are standing there.
Oh.
And it was like a nightmare. And so I finally just had to get on the mic and say, y'all, you're on the honor system. Just go to whatever sessions you want to go to. Do your thing. Check back in when you can. We got and so it was a total mea culpa, but people were like freaking out. I've got to get in to see, whoever was starting.
Oh my God. Do you know?
Account for. We just didn't think about it, but everyone would be there.
So, of course. And do you know how I know? Because I was scheduled for my first remote interview ever with C-SPAN. Thank you. Right when the gates opened and the line was behind me and I was mic'd, and this guy, I had no idea who I was talking to. There was a camera. And I literally said to myself, you have been preparing for this for your entire life, and you are just going to nail this. Pretend like you are not literally. It sounded like I was 4 million feet underwater because it was brick and it was all these people and it was just reverberating. So if anyone ever watches that interview, which does not suck, but that was what was happening, just for the record.
You were just bombarded with all of this noise and crazy.
But it was also beautiful footage because it was
energy.
Just streams of people, and so it and with everything, it's like it's a bit of a disaster, but then there's something great that comes out of it as well.
And to plan as much as you can, knowing that inevitably there's going to be that emergency you can't plan for. And that was and it's funny too, the better you do, the more people have expectations. But this is another one. So again, like around the planning, I have to say our speakers are fantastic. Things go really, really well. We have very few prima donna, pissy, like people who come to Freedom Fest to speak, they get the vision. Almost always. They really get it.
No green M&Ms.
Yeah. No purple. I mean, oh my gosh. You kind of don't even let people like that come. I'm like, it's okay, we'll skip you. You don't get it. I don't honestly, we don't want you there. You need to get the vision to some extent. But in 2020, when we had to cancel, because there were all these restrictions and you could only have 50 people in a room. We had 1,100 people coming. There literally were not enough rooms in the venue that we could split everyone up. And so it was just ridiculous. So I had this sweet, it proved to me how much people value Freedom Fest, because this sweet woman, we had to cancel on 10 days out. She calls me on day 9. Valerie, you've got to do Freedom Fest. Why don't you just do it at a ranch? And I was like, that's so sweet. And that's a really, an interesting idea. And if we had a year to prepare, we could do it. But in 9 days, I would have to find the ranch. And you guys know,
right?
We're outdoors.
Yeah. Porta potties.
Porta potties.
I don't know how you guys do all that you do. That's
water.
I'm fascinated to come. How do you do this? Because I got walls and outlets, air conditioning. So she wanted me to find the ranch, figure out how to get everyone there, parked, where are they going to stay, electricity out there, sanitation out there, food out there, screens. What if it rains? What in 9 days, and communicate that to everyone. Okay, change your travel plans. It was just really adorable.
It sounds like she should have come to PorkFest.
Yeah.
You're right. I've got a solution for you. Run up to New Hampshire. They got it all ready for you.
Yeah, PorkFest is a little like the Hunger Games. We're like, man, if you can roll for this week, you've made it through our test. So
It's very true.
Amazing.
No, I did see a comment from Renita saying when she went, Dr. Drew was her favorite speaker. This is one of my favorite things. I've been involved in helping organize Liberty Forum and Borkfest in the past. And when you're an organizer and you're working, there's always, it always happens, like without fail. The speaker you're most excited about is the one you're too busy to go see.
Yeah.
I knew what you were going to say.
As the organizer this year, who are you most excited to miss? Like that you're going to be too
To
busy.
miss.
You know, you were absolutely right. So in 2017, we had William Shatner, who I'm a huge Trekkie, love him. I worked so hard that year. I ended up in the hospital Wednesday morning. I was in the hospital for the entire event, almost died. The rest of my team stepped up and made it happen, but I didn't get to meet William Shatner. So
I did meet William Shatner.
I'm going to break a little news. We just got confirmation of this. He's my, like, I love this guy. So Doug Stanhope.
Oh my God.
Yes. He reached out to us. I want to be your headliner at the Punching Up Comedy Festival. So he's doing 45 minutes and he's going to have his podcast there, be on Media Row, the entire conference. I really hope I meet him. Well, I've met him once before, but he's the one I'd want to hang out with and just be like in love with and horrified by everything he says.
He's great. I love Doug Stanhope so much. I
love him so much.
Oh
and
my
he's
God.
coming to Freedom Fest. I'm so excited.
I did a show with him a couple months ago, and it was literally an out of the blue thing. I woke up in the morning, opened Twitter, checked my DMs. I decided to Doug Stanhope saying, "Hey, let's do a live stream right now." I'm like, okay,
sure.
But he did straight up tell me, he's like, "I'd love to come back to Porkfest. Don't you dare ever ask me to come back to Porkfest.
Right.
I'm just going to show up."
That would be nice.
Be a guest.
Just, you know, like, let's do this. You know, he's just so down to earth in that way. Yeah. So that to me, if I was like, if we get Dave, Chris, or Doug to come to I'll know that I made it. Like, then I'll be,
yeah,
like,
it's the comedy.
Bill Burr too.
And honestly, I do think comedy is the way to go, right? Because that's sort of where you get to play with like real philosophy and messaging and all of that, but you're also making people laugh so they like you. And I think it's huge. You know who I'm super excited about for this year is actually Matt Tiabi.
I saw
I don't know if I'm saying that right.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about him?
Yeah, so he's coming. Fire is actually sponsoring him to come. So they'll be interviewing him on the main stage, and he'll just talk about independent journalism. He's going to talk about the Twitter files and all of that. And after following up with having Glenn Greenwald last year, I think this is like the perfect. This independent media track, I think, is just incredibly important. The explosion of getting your media, legitimate media from alternative sources and independent journalists is huge. And the mainstream media filter, you know, a certain orange-haired fellow, I don't want to like mimic him or in any way, but there are problems in the media. I'm not going to call it fake news.
I will.
There's a problem.
Yeah, I will.
So I think having Matt come and address that is going to be really amazing. I am very much looking forward to his remarks. He's going to, but you know, having Gloria Alvarez come, Daryl Davis. We also just confirmed Winston Marshall from Mumford & Sons to come and talk about his experience.
Cool.
So artists censor artists. And yeah, there's quite an interesting collection of people coming to Freedom Fest this year. And it's you know, our lineup is growing. We're at about 100 speakers right now on the main page, our speaker page. It will get up to about 300 by the time we're done. So it's, you know, just every different topic area. And what I love about Freedom Fest too is that we address like the big crazy topics, but we also get into nuanced discussions around philosophy and policy, but in kind of a fun, interesting way. So there really is something for everyone.
Yeah, I know that line. Hey, Valerie, we're coming up to the unbelievably last minute of the show. The time always goes so fast. I want to make sure people remember the code is FSP50. That is for $50 off. That's good till the end of the month, so don't delay. everyone has heard what an amazing lineup there is. I love coming. It's my third favorite before I get in any kind of trouble with my people. Third favorite conference. I love catching up with my extended family out there. I will look forward to seeing everyone there. Of course, everyone should remember to come to PorcFest too.
Yes.
PorcFest.com. I'm hoping Valerie's going to make it this year.
Yes,
Even if it's just for a couple of days, I would love to see you and
Yes.
show you around. I'm so glad you could join us today. Any
Thank
last
you.
thoughts?
It's great to meet you, Kevin and Justin, and great to talk with you, Carla, as always. Really appreciate it. Come to Freedom Fest and PorcFest.
Oh, yeah.
Well, thanks so
Great
much
to
for coming on. Thanks to everyone for tuning in. Remember, if you want to learn more about the Free State Project, you can go to fsp.org. Like Carla said, get your PorcFest tickets now. Get your Freedom Fest tickets real now, because that discount code expires end of the week. So it's FSP50. Use your discount code for $50 off till the end of the week. And make sure you can plan your visit to New Hampshire. Come see what we're all about. Get in touch with Chris Lopez and the team, where they can help you plan your visit. And if you're already here or when you are visiting, check out the calendar. You know, the most jam-packed Liberty event calendar in the world. I mean, I'm sure Freedom Fest is a packed 4 days, but we get a packed
4 days. I know you guys do it all the time.
So, like, there's something for everybody every day of the week. Kevin's tried to do it all. You can't.
Yeah, really, truly. Like, I physically got sick. I probably drank too much in those 7 days. But me and my wife tried to make a conscious effort to do it. It's not possible.
We should make that a little video. That would be funny.
That'd be fun. Yeah, it's not possible.
Nobody died in the making of this.
Yeah.
So, and if you want to chat midweek, any day, Kevin hosts that Discord channel.
Oh, yeah. Hop on the Discord. I'm literally there every day. I was there right before I came here, and I'm going to go on immediately after I get off of this. So.
And if you want to support the mission of the Free State Project and all the work that we're doing here in New Hampshire, you can check out fsp.org/give, and you can give a one-time or recurring donation. And remember, the Free State Project is a 501c3 charitable nonprofit, and your donations are tax deductible, so they get spent better than Uncle Sam. Anything else, guys?
That's it. Go to Freedom Fest. Check it out.
Check everything out. Thanks so much
for joining us, Valerie. Bye,
Until
guys.
Next time, stay free.
Peace out.
Here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the round pegs in the square holes, the ones who see things differently. They're not fond of rules, and they have no respect for the status quo. You can quote them, disagree with them, glorify or vilify them. About the only thing you can't do is ignore them, because they change things. They push the human race forward. While some may see them as the crazy ones, we see genius. Because the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do.